Hey, it's the horribly off-topic virus spreading across America. I'm Steve.
And I'm Chris.
Welcome to the show.
You know, there's a virus spreading across my house. It's gone now.
Oh, good. Do you have it still?
No, I had it. But I don't, that's why I'm on this side of the table.
Oh, well, the reason why we're not sitting on the same chair
On
is
each other's
because...
laps.
Yeah, is because
Whispering sweet nothings into each other's ears.
No, that's
what we normally do. That's why the beginning of the podcast is usually so sucky, is that I'm whispering into Steve's ear and I
Fuck
distract.
you don't do that. Stop lying to people.
Well, I was trying to paint them a more PG version of what actually happened.
Stop. This is not, we're not having like gay fest every week.
Well,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
How else do you explain, the fuck-ups at the beginning of the show?
Because we're just inept.
Well, but ineptitude comes from somewhere.
It doesn't come from gay activity, is what you're insinuating, I think.
I'm not insinuating that it comes from... I'm insinuating that it comes from gay activity between the two of us, not from gay activity in general.
All right, you're just going to keep on digging yourself a bigger and bigger hole.
No, I have a hole. It's well taken care of. Just wanted to start with some follow-up from last week, because apparently there are battle hippos out there in the world. We are not the first people to think of this, and I'm going to put a link in the show notes for this episode, which you can find at clarkwoods.com/hot/20.
Yeah, you remember.
I remembered. Brian, friend of the show, Brian, sent us a photo of a battle hippo. So somebody else thought of it. The photo, I think, is...
I don't think it's a photo.
Well,
I think
it's an illustration.
It's Yeah, someone took a picture of a battle hippo while they were fighting it.
Yes, and while they died, and then the battle hippo, didn't eat the camera, ate the photographer, but didn't eat the camera.
Fog of
There
war.
is an illustration of a battle hippo. We are not the first people to come up with this. It's important to note that.
Okay, well, there's a good chance that everything we've ever said in our lives has been something that's already been said.
Yes, there are no original ideas.
Yeah, like how many people are currently on the planet?
And how many people are dead?
Yeah. So there's a good chance that there's nothing that anybody can do or will ever do that will ever be an original thought.
So why do we create anything?
I don't know. Did I just crush everything you were ever...
You crushed my spirit.
Oh, Jesus.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, but we usually...
I usually give that line to my students on the first day of the semester.
Okay, well then fuck you. So basically what we do is we take the things that we've heard and experienced...
We synthesize.
We take the things all those things, and we process them in our brains, and then we regurgitate them in a different way with our own special spin on it.
Regurgitate. I was feeling better until you said regurgitate.
Were you yacky a little?
No, I wasn't yakking. I had the runs.
Oh, good. At least.
And I couldn't get out of bed on Thursday until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Ah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Did you shit in the bed?
I got out of the bed long enough to shit.
Okay.
And I'd get to the bathroom, I'd deposit my liquid shit, and on the way back to the bed, I'd start sweating so badly that I had to constantly be adjusting whether I had like 3 or 4 layers of clothing on, how many layers of blankets, or just lay on the bed in just my boxers. Like
you're painting a very sexy picture. Just like that sexy picture of the battle hippo.
The battle hippo was damn sexy. I'm just saying.
I can understand battle rhino because they have like spikes already on them.
Yeah, then you saw some battle rhino in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
All right, second piece of follow-up. Brian says that yes, indeed, last week's was the worst opening ever until we went meta. So we saved it by going meta.
So we're just gonna. I'm gonna try to do intros from other radio shows for the next couple of episodes,
so that we can make sure. Brian also wrote to us on Twitter saying, "You dudes ready to get rich?" With a link to the many, many, many variant covers for Star Wars #1. Star Wars used to belong, the comic book rights used to belong to Marvel way back in the day. Then they went to Dark Horse, and then when Disney bought Star Wars, they got the rights to Star Wars and comic books for Marvel. And so now all the Dark Horse Star Wars titles are ceasing publication, and Marvel is coming out with 3 or 4 Star Wars books, but their first one they're coming out with is one just called plain old Star Wars, and they've got a countless array of variant covers, and of course the reference here I think is to our episodes where we've talked about how many variant covers we bought in the 90s. And Brian is suggesting that maybe our way to get rich, short of getting sponsors or anything like that, is to just buy a bunch of variant covers.
Yeah.
And maybe we should pretend to be the artist and sign them, and then try to sell those on the internet.
I'm gonna. Oh fuck! I forgot the name of that guy.
Which guy?
There's
a guy that Steve forgot the name of.
But it was, you brought up signatures in it.
Signatures,
and it brought me to something that
some of the variant covers are pretty interesting. There's one that looks like a vintage Kenner action figure box with Luke in the plastic. There were quite a few other ones that I thought were really cool looking, and I'm not going to go buy multiple copies of Star Wars #1, but I like looking at them. And that's actually I would think is one of the downsides of doing variant covers in the internet age, is that if I just want to look at the cool art, all I have to do is do a Google search and I can see all the damn variant covers I want.
So I was listening to the radio.
Okay.
And they were talking. It was the Radio Lab podcast.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't really the radio. It was another podcast, NPR, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking. The show was about buttons this particular week.
Buttons.
And so they went to an elevator museum, and then the second story they went to, or they just started talking about a guy named Button Gwinnett.
Button Gwinnett.
Button Gwinnett.
Okay.
Now I'll go to the wiki.
The wiki for Button Gwinnett.
Button Gwinnett.
That's
so he was one of the founding fathers. His name, he signed the Declaration of Independence.
He signed it, Button Gwinnett?
Yes, Button.
He didn't come up with a better name?
That's his name.
Well, I know, but couldn't you come up with I don't know, it's reinvention. That's what America is all about. Signing the Declaration of Independence, you could go ahead and come up with a better name than Button Gwinnett. I'm
not like, if someone was like, "Hey, we got this awesome new country. We're going to sign this thing.
Yeah.
We're going to declare independence from Britain, and my name is Button Woodbury instead of Stephen Woodbury. I'm going to sign it my name instead of changing my name."
Button Woodbury isn't as bad as Button Gwinnett. That's the only point I'm making.
Okay, so he signed the Declaration of Independence. He was also briefly the provisional president of Georgia in 1777.
Georgia was a penal colony.
In Gwinnett County. What?
Georgia was a penal colony. And by that I don't mean penis.
I gotcha.
They prisoners there.
Okay. Well, he was...
I mean, sometimes the prisoners, as in prisons today, might have done some things with their penises, I'm sure. But
he died in 1777, like the year after.
Oh.
And he was... he had a lot of debts.
Well... And your name is Penis Gwinnett. No, wait, that's not his name.
Button Gwinnett.
Button Gwinnett, thank you.
Holy shit.
Mine's in the gutter.
So he had all these debts all over the place.
Yeah.
And then so he died. And I think his family line went away. Like his family died shortly after him, within 5 years. So there's no more Gwinnett's, I guess, right. Or at least that line of Gwinnett's.
Yeah, there's no more Lincolns. Abraham Lincoln line of Lincolns. Do you know that?
Well, because they were too tall. They didn't have enough. Couldn't find a lady that was.
Nope. They
were all just tall, lanky motherfuckers.
Tall, lanky motherfuckers that got assassinated. I don't know. You know what? Though they didn't all get assassinated, but I think it was his son, the surviving son, who lived for a while but didn't have any surviving kids. He was present at least 2, possibly 3 different assassinations.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
Maybe it's
presidential
conspiracy.
assassinations. Yeah.
They had black helicopters back then.
Yes.
Oh.
1860, whatever.
Lizard people controlling our minds.
Yes. All of that.
Okay. So he died. His family line dies off, and then come 1820 or so, a big thing for collectors, which brings it back to that.
To Star Wars, yep.
Well, not Star Wars, but collecting comics and whatnot.
Okay.
But a big thing that Americans like to collect at that period of time was signatories of the Declaration of Independence. So people And so Button Gwinnett, since he died so early after signing the Declaration of Independence,
his signature was valuable.
His signature is the most valuable signature probably in the world.
Huh.
Well, maybe William Shakespeare a little bit more.
Maybe a little bit.
But Button Gwinnett, like if you like Abraham Lincoln, Ben Franklin, John Adams, all the big head honcho guys that
they signed a whole bunch of things. So,
well, like especially Ben Franklin, he was like a man of letters. They said and so he was the.
You ever seen John Adams on HBO?
Yeah, Ben Franklin was a bad boy.
Yeah, he was.
He liked to get. Well, that's why he went to France. He was like, "Oh, I love French prostitutes. Let's go there and write letters."
Absolutely.
So Button Gwinnett, like he had
French prostitutes.
No, he had. So most of the signatures that he has are on IOUs because he was so in debt.
Poor Button Gwinnett.
Yeah, but like so. One of his signatures.
Is he French?
No, I don't know.
Button Gwinnett. I don't
know.
No,
I think he was British. He came from.
Oh, that's interesting. Interesting British name.
So yeah, like one of his signatures can fetch like $750,000.
Jesus Christ!
Or like that's Well, there's allegedly 51 in
the
existence.
Secret Service going to come after me for that? Is the Secret Service? No, that's just counterfeit money.
Yeah, well,
who's going to come after me if I forge Button Gwinnett's signature?
They'll probably know it's a forgery because they know that like there's
because they listen to this podcast.
No, they know. Fuck you. They know that there's 51 in existence.
Oh, okay.
10 of which are in private hands. Everything else is like within like libraries and archives.
Gotcha.
So in the New York Public Library actually has 4 of them.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Button in one
but
place.
Those would probably fetch $1 million a piece because they're not just like the signatures; they're like the whole document.
Yeah. Huh. I did not know anything about Button Gwinnett until just
I didn't until yesterday.
But now you're educating me.
Yeah, we just did some public service with education here. It's like you're listening to NPR, only more bullshit.
Satisfied.
Shut up. So yeah.
Yeah.
What else do we have?
And the one final piece of follow-up comes to us from one of the many Johns who listens to the show, and I didn't get his permission to say his last name here, so I will refrain. But it's one of the many Johns who listens to the show who had wanted to answer your question, Steve, about the Tandy. Wow, because last week's episode.
Because why would we do research?
Why would we do research? The Tandy 1000 EX, my first computer, has a pretty interesting history, and we'll put the link that was provided by this particular John into the show notes. He says, it actually fixed a lot of problems that the IBM PC Junior had and was the first non-IBM PC-compatible machine for the home that had both peripherals and the ability to, quote-unquote, easily upgrade the internals. It was a good machine and one with far more RAM than other home machines. I liked it a lot.
So apparently it wasn't as bullshit than I thought.
Well, at least this John's wasn't as bullshit as you thought. We have no idea, honestly, what one my brother had. It might have been the same one. I don't know.
I don't know because I was looking at the wiki you had posted on the show notes for last week.
Yeah.
And like the prices for some of them were pretty exorbitant.
Yeah.
So I doubt that your brother, because I think he spent his own money on it.
I'm pretty sure it was his own money.
So it couldn't have been that much because like I saw like $900. I'm like, John wouldn't spend $900 on a fucking computer.
Yeah.
So it's probably like $100 model that they had at Radio Shack. So
right.
The one that John is talking about in the email is probably very different from the one your brother had.
Yeah, that would be my guess. We will have to ask my brother
when he comes back for Christmas.
He's going to be back. This episode is going to post on Monday. John's going to be back tomorrow.
Really?
Well, I mean, if we leap forward in time to when this episode posts,
so he's coming back on Tuesday.
I think he's back on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Cool.
Yeah. So we will have to ask him what Tandy he actually had.
And I know that one of our listeners, Matt, is coming back for the holidays, and he would like to perhaps do a little show with us.
Very nice,
if that's possible.
I am intrigued by that.
Oh, did you see did he send it to you? The picture of the T-shirt.
The picture of the T-shirt. I'm not sure. No, I don't think that he did. This is Matt who had suggestions about the T-shirt in a previous episode.
Yes, I'll show you.
No, I have not heard. We in case you're just joining us, we are considering. Steve has shown me a mock-up of one possibility for our T-shirt, and if you listeners would like to chime in on what the very first horribly off-topic T-shirt should look like, what
either design ideas, or you can provide the art yourself, like
exactly.
Matt did.
Whatever you'd like to do, you can email us at hot@clarkwoods.com to let us know. I don't know. What we have right now is obviously it made me stop to laugh. So,
but it's
probably
it's not something
anything
we could put on a T-shirt, though.
Well, it's something you could put on a T-shirt, but I'm not sure anybody would wear it.
Yeah.
I would like
you want me to explain it? Okay, so
yes,
it is the picture from our show, like that
the
you see on the
yep.
podcast. And Chris has a pair of testicles on his chin.
Yep.
And my penis, my nose is a penis. I look like an elephant with a penis nose, and Chris kind of looks like a billy goat with the.
There was a movie I found on Netflix within the last couple of years. It was a sort of an anthology movie, and I forget what it was called. I'll try to look it up and put it in the show notes. Where one of the gags. In the very first scene in the movie was a guy who had balls, a scrotal sac.
Oh, it was
from his chin.
that stupid fucking.
Kate Winslet was acting.
It was like movie 38 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It was terrible.
Well, I got like 5 minutes into that scene.
Not that I thought it wasn't like I keep on like hoping that one of these parody movies is
going to be really good.
Like I sort of have like a fondness for movies like that because like I remember renting like Amazon Women. On
yes.
the Moon.
Oh my God, Amazon Women. That was exactly what I was thinking of as you were beginning that sentence.
Like that and like Kentucky Fried Movie from like the but like we were young when we first saw these and there was just like occasional boobs in it and it was like exciting about that and it was like the guys that did Airplane did these movies and I enjoyed them for the time, but then as I grew older that I kind of have a soft spot for these stupid terrible movies but they're not good anymore, or at least in my mind are not. Like if I went back and watched the Kentucky Fried Movie today I'd probably be like, why did I like this when I was younger?
What about Amazon Women on the Moon? Have you seen it recently?
Not recently, no.
Okay. Yeah, neither have I remember that one. Liking it as a kid for the reasons the occasional boobs, the stupid infantile humor, and then years later, although years ago now at this point, wanting to go and look it up, and I don't know if I finally did. I have a feeling it would not hold up, but.
But yeah, I remember going to the video store back when you had to do that to rent something and not just to go on your Netflix account and be like, there's a billion movies for me at my disposal. There are a billion
movies. There's one called Nymphomaniac. Maybe I'll watch that.
I watched a little bit of it. It wasn't good.
Well, I saw it on Netflix.
It was way too foreign for me. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be... No.
No.
I mean, it was just very slow and boring at the beginning, and so it did not hold my attention for long enough for me to watch it. I'm sure there's people who've watched it. They'll be like, oh my God, it's amazing. You should watch it. You're fucking boring idiot if you don't.
Yeah. No, I added it to my queue just for shits and giggles, but I don't have much patience for dumb or stupid movies.
It wasn't dumb. It was just very slow, at least the pacing of the beginning of the film, and there was... It was a lot of artful, long shots. Yeah. Which I'm sure someone with a finer palate for films than my own would appreciate. But I was just like, eh.
Yeah. No, I imagine I'll probably watch like 5 minutes of it and be bored in much the same way. And I do like a good arty movie, but it has to have plot. It has to have character. And if it doesn't have that, then... I don't know. The other elements of storytelling can be interesting, setting, all that stuff. But ultimately, if it doesn't have plot and character, I'm out.
I think you've said this before. I think we have deja vu going on.
Probably.
All right. What else is on the list?
Well, we had on the list from last time.
Oh, but you still had the one. Oh wait, no.
No, I did that.
Oh,
we did all the follow up.
But did you say that we're going to be Brian's quote at least? You guys.
Oh yes.
Be rich?
I thought I said some version of it. His quote about the variant covers was, "You dudes ready to get rich."
Because
yeah.
I don't know if you actually did say that before. I was looking something up online.
Yeah.
It was Button Gwinnett.
Button Gwinnett. It was important.
Yes.
It was very important. We were educating the youth out there, the kids in America.
Whoa.
So what did you do this week?
I did a little Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
And I went to Mahoney's, which used to be Lawton's.
Yep. Okay.
In Chelmsford, for all you Chelmsford files that like to listen to the show and love the references and blah 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 and love drinking, if you want to treat this as a drinking game show.
I was thinking before you go. I was thinking that one of the rules of the drinking game would be that if you're listening with a group of friends.
Why would anybody do that?
I was like, So immediately this goes out the window. But if you happen to be listening to the podcast in a group situation where you could make a bet with someone, that part of the drinking game would be that you look at the title and that you and your friend bet on who's going to say the title, and maybe when they're going to say it. And whoever gets it wrong has to have 2 shots, 3 shots, a whole glass of whatever they're drinking. Oof. I don't know. I mean, it's just
you
the
don't
title.
Drink much, but you're like, here, have an obscene amount of alcohol.
Well, it's just the title. It would be one thing. It would be the sort of like the main kicker part of the drinking game.
Okay.
Because it's the title. It only happens once an episode. I'm presuming somebody's not binge listening to the show. If they're binge listening to the show, then they're going to be binge drinking.
Which is fine,
Speaking of binge drinking, I watched...
another thing.
I watched Leaving Las Vegas.
On Netflix?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we're supposed to say video streaming service.
Video streaming service. On one of the 2 video streaming services that I subscribe to, one of which my daughters call Hobo.
Hobo? Like Diary of a Hobo by the New Sweethearts?
Yeah, exactly like that. And the other one is rhymes with Betflix.
Hobo.
Hobo.
Is that Hulu?
No, that's HBO.
Oh.
They refer to HBO as Hobo. They're like, can we watch something on Hobo? And I've never watched them watch something on Hobo.
Well, they have like a kids section,
There's a kids section, but there's never any good kids movies in it.
Oh.
Anyway, I watched Leaving Las Vegas and talk about a lot of drinking, which of course is the point of the movie. That movie, pretty good movie, but the beginning of it and then trying to get through the credit sequence and take that movie seriously, it is about the most 90s credit sequence I have ever seen.
Was it over dramatic a little bit?
No, well, so there's a pre-credit.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
There's a pre-credit sequence with Nick Cage, and he is he's buying a lot of alcohol, and he is spoilers, but this is the first 5 minutes of the film. He's about to get fired from his job, which is why he leaves for Las Vegas. And he says the line, "I'm thinking about going to Las Vegas," and that's when the credits start. And I think you might get a little bit of Nick Cage and Elizabeth Shue in there, but it's mostly city shots or traveling shots of him going to Las Vegas with really kind of brightly colored, quasi grungy typeface over. It's so terrible that. Sitting through that like 2 minutes of the movie where they're giving you all the credits in the way that they used to do in the 90s, in the way that now they sort of throw all the credits at the end. They
used to show like all the credits at the end of a movie, what was it? The beginning.
They used to show almost all of them at the beginning.
Yeah, you're right. Because I remember watching "It's a Mad, 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 Mad World."
Yeah.
And they just had the entire credit sequence at the beginning, and it was a fun little animated thing, so that was fine. But
yeah, I mean, part of it has to do with rules of
engagement.
Rules dictated by the Directors Guild and the Writers Guild and all the Hollywood parties. So like Guardians of the Galaxy, which my daughters love to watch now.
That's good.
That one has all of its credits at the beginning, because if you don't put the major credits at the beginning, you have to put them right at the very end of the film before you do any sort of mid-credit sequence or whatever. And in Guardians, it was really important. Spoilers if you haven't seen Guardians.
We've already talked about this like 6
times.
times.
So at Guardians was really important because the only thing that happens between the actual end of the movie and the mid-credits sequence is the Guardians of the Galaxy will return. If they hadn't done all the credits up front, they would have had to have done all those credits at that point, and the music wouldn't have sunk up with Dancing Baby Groot dancing to the Jackson 5. So I don't know. Email us if I got that wrong about why credits have to be in certain places. Anyway, watch Leaving Las Vegas. Good flick. I knew that Elizabeth Shue did some nudity in the movie, and I couldn't remember.
I see. I don't know why I never saw it. I think I saw that Honeymoon in Vegas, which also has Nick Cage.
Has Nick Cage. Oh
I think because there was 2 Vegas movies that came out around the same time, and one was depressing as shit, and the other one was just
this one is depressing
comedy.
This one is depressing as shit, and bordering on arty. It might border on that too arty for your taste, but the nudity, while not arty, is so well placed that I couldn't remember. I couldn't believe that I had forgotten where it was. Basically, towards she's playing a prostitute who hooks up with him, and he's a drunk guy who's basically gone to Vegas to drink himself to death, and he's only vaguely interested in her in the sexual sense. He enjoys her company. He loves her, but sexually there's not a lot happening. And when she finally bares her breasts in the movie, it's a scene in which she pours I don't know what liquor it is down the front of her, and only by pouring liquor down her breasts is she able to actually get him interested. And it's this really poignant, sort of effective scene. I don't think that's all I was going to say about that.
Cool.
Just, I guess, coming back to the point of sometimes arty can be good.
See, I didn't,
but only when there's plot, only when there's character, and Elizabeth Shue's boobs.
She was the second Jennifer in Back to the Future.
She was.
Which was. It was she. I think she's a better actress than the first one. No offense to her, at all, but yeah. But it was just weird because they reshot that scene that's at the end of the first one.
Yes, with Elizabeth Shue at the beginning of the second one.
I think they did a decent job. I'd like to see them try to sync them up
Yeah. You know what I would like to see regarding Back to the Future is, and I think I've seen some of it someplace. I'll have to look it up. Is the photos of those characters aged versus what they actually look like, because we're about to hit 2015, which is when the future part of Back to the Future 2 happened.
Yeah.
And in fact, at least the actresses, if not Michael J. Fox himself, and of course Michael J. has Parkinson's, so that may play a role in how he's aged.
He actually, I think, looks younger than his.
He definitely looks younger, but he doesn't look as much better as the women do compared to the way they made them up in 2015.
Yeah, I think Elizabeth Shue still looks good, and Leah Thompson's
Leah Thompson was on. This is the reason I bring it up.
But the thing is, she was supposed to be the grandmother, so she would have had to age another 30 years.
But even if you put Leah Thompson in 1955 scenes versus 1985 scenes, right, and did that still, aging,
she still looks better.
She looks better, and the reason I say that is my wife. And I got to come back to this in terms of the stuff that my wife watches, if we get there. But my wife and my kids love watching Dancing with the Stars.
Which I actually watched a couple of weeks ago, and it had Carlton on it. That was the only guy I knew.
Yes, and he was. I guess he won.
Oh, he did? Good.
He did, and he did the Carlton dance on one episode.
Celebrate?
No, on one of the episodes midway through, I think he did the Carlton dance. At any rate, they watched that. Leah Thompson was on that for a while. And, although I kind of got annoyed with how much they sort of played up Leah Thompson as a cougar, If you're not,
is she on that show Cougar Town?
She is not on that show Cougar Town. I don't think. But they
I like
really
how your
played
voice
up.
squeaked when you Cougar Town.
they played up as much as I kind of got annoyed that they played up the Cougar angle on Leah Thompson. She did look very, very good compared to the way that she was supposed to have aged in Back to the Future. Anyway, I derailed us by talking about leaving Las Vegas. What were you going to talk about?
Oh, I was talking about let's get back on topic. Horribly off topic. What is it? Oh yeah, I went to the Mahoney's, which was once Lawton's.
Yes.
To get my dad. My dad likes poinsettias, and I usually get him one for Christmas. And they had a nice little deal.
Yeah.
On two of them, so like it was only a couple bucks more to get two as opposed to just the one. So I'm like, I'll get him two. Why not? Yeah. So I got him two, and then I popped on over, and then I went because I have more space now like for my stuff.
Right.
So I kind of rummaged a bit through some of my old things, just to check it out, and I found actually it's your brother's. I found your brother's Dreamcast, which I've apparently had for a very long time. I don't know. Like I think I asked him a couple years ago if he wanted it back, and he's like, "Where am I going to put it?"
Right.
Like,
yeah.
So it's still at my dad's house. And I found these pint glasses that I guess it might have been my buddy Brian, not Brian that emailed us.
Brian.
Another Brian.
A different Brian.
Got me for my birthday probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Which was like two Biggie Smalls pint glasses.
That's of course that's what I'm drinking out of right now. Drinking water.
And like I have nothing against the man and his music. I've never actually purchased any of it.
Yeah.
But I which is why I was sort of...
Tell it to me straight. You're really a Tupac fan, and that's the problem.
No. I think if I had to have decided back in those days, I probably would have went with Biggie. Because Biggie was an East Coast guy.
Yeah.
As am I.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I probably would. And plus, he raps about Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. So
Biggie does definitely seem like more of a. Oh God, I'm not. He seemed like he more approachable to geeks and nerds. Like,
well, not necessarily.
He's still a gangster, but like he probably had some interests that might have been crossed over as opposed to Tupac.
I think it was just like the things that he rapped about and like the way he did it. I think he had a better lyrical flow.
Also, he's a big gentleman, and as people who have either now, like me now, or once upon a time struggled with weight, I think I gravitate towards the big gentleman as opposed
to the guy that was cut from marble.
Yeah. Fucking Tupac, man. Oh, yeah, those abs.
Yeah, he's got some abs and a half. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
I got some of those, and there was some other crap that I kind of rifled through.
Yeah.
What else did I have in there? I didn't take it. I don't know why, but it's something that Garen used to carry around. Like, it's a New Sweethearts thing.
Yeah.
It was this orange tackle box.
Okay.
That had like some things in it, and it has the original TNS newsletters.
Oh, really?
And
in the tackle box.
Yeah, they had those, and like I had both of the original tapes.
Huh.
And I think Dan posted something recently on the New Sweethearts Facebook page, and it was where is it? I think a friend of mine sent it to me. There it is. It was the original Psycho's Bar Mitzvah album cover, which was a cat licking its chops.
I remember that one. Yeah.
So it says it contains comedy lyrics, brief nudity, adult situations, strong language, no aftertaste, and raw, uncensored smut. Several exclamation points.
Yeah.
And then it had like a little thing that said "with canned goods," and then there was a dog flying out of a can. Let me just make this bigger. So it has, Dan, Will, myself, and Garen as the people in, and so it was like, no. Dang it. And then all songs written and performed by the New Sweethearts, produced by the New Sweethearts, engineered by Will Woods, guitars by John Clark. So
shout out.
Yeah. TNS would like to thank Rupert Murdoch, Napa,
Of course they would.
the Woods family, the Clark family, God, Ween, Beck, They Might Be Giants, Mr. Bungle, Vanilla Ice, Snow from the 12 inches of snow, Informer.
Yes, I do know that guy.
Satan for his wonderful egg salad, Travolta, Watson Silly Pants, Crazy Dave, Assy Holiday, and Caffeine. Assy Holiday was this thing.
Assy Holiday?
Holiday?
Assy Holiday.
Hollanay. Holiday?
Okay. Sure.
It was this thing that Garen had. I don't know. It was
He
like
had
this,
an assy holiday?
No. It was just like this ad for his performance, and I guess he was Armenian, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
But we, of course, his name is Assy, so of course we're not so oh, that's hilarious, Assy Holiday.
Assy Holiday.
So he had this. I think Garen had it up in his room as poster, not poster, but it was a flyer for Assy Holiday's show.
I was at you said Vanilla Ice. I was at my parents' house for a party for the extended family last weekend, and my cousin's kids, I don't know if I talked about this last episode, I don't think so. My cousin's kids discovered Vanilla Ice completely on their own and think that that song,
Ice Ice Baby,
Ice Ice Baby is really good.
Well, it sold a lot of records for him.
It did.
And then when he became Rob,
ripped off from what's the Queen song? Yeah, totally not.
Well, it's Queen and Bowie.
Yeah, Queen and Bowie. It's totally not Another One Bites the Dust, because his goes dun 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 dun, and theirs goes dun 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 dun.
So
something.
What he did to combat that, and I believe this is true. So if I'm wrong, fuck yourselves. What I believe he did to combat the fact that he was the copyright infringement or whatever, he bought the rights to Under Pressure.
Yeah. So, I said Another One Bites the Dust. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a long day. You had the shits all week.
I did have the shits all week. Yes, which is of course the way that people do it now. But back then it was that really interesting time period of rappers and MCs and all of these people trying to use stuff without paying for it under fair use or whatever.
Well,
now it's just go buy the rights to it, and you end up with Stevie Nicks dancing alongside fucking Destiny's Child.
Stevie Nicks is still alive, isn't she?
Stevie Nicks is. I tried to paint this picture for my students in a class on sampling last month, and there was a Destiny's Child song. Was it Bootylicious? I don't know if that's what it was. That sampled "Edge of 17" by Stevie Nicks, and so you've got these 3 young black women dancing, singing about their booties, and then just out of nowhere, in the middle of their video, is this old white woman dressed like a hippie with her guitar, which of course she doesn't play. I'm pretty sure she doesn't play guitar. And why is Stevie Nicks there? And if you're a sort of a fan of Destiny's Child, do you have any idea who Stevie Nicks is and why there's this old white woman dancing around with these 3 ladies that you are a fan of? It just doesn't. I mean, there's a point at which yes, make the money and embrace that your song is being sampled somewhere, and there's another point at which it just gets weird. Speaking of when Biggie died, and Puff Daddy did the song "I'll Be Missing You." I think this came up in that same conversation, and they performed it at the VMAs that year, and Sting came out and sang with Puffy. It just I don't know.
I like the fact that people use samples and stuff back in the 90s.
We'll go back to that our idea from what you said at the beginning of the show, which was that there aren't that many original ideas. It's about remixing things.
But there's what's it? The Land of the Loops, which was a band from the 90s. Well, not really a band, but they basically took a bunch of samples from things and looped them together and made these songs out of them. Mm-hmm. And I remember listening, and they had this they would sample things from Ranma, actually. There was like clips from that anime in there, and it was kind of neat. And some other things, and they sampled things from the Jerky Boys, just little like one moment please when the guy's like on the phone with the, and and I like hearing things like that in a song. Like I know we did that in the New Sweethearts. We had little samples here and there.
Yeah.
Of in Spatula Bitch and Peanut Butter Slut, which was one of our gangster rap songs on the second album. And there was some clips of Dolomite.
Okay.
In the middle of I think it was just like him. It's just going like, move over and let me pass. We'll get these hush puppies out your motherfucking ass or something like that. Hopefully people don't think I'm racist for the black guy voice I just did.
I don't think so. Because I forget how this came up recently, but there was a kid that we went to, and I don't remember this kid's name. It was a kid we went to high school with whose whole thing in art class was, I don't know if he was a year ahead, year behind, I don't know. His whole thing was collages, but he did amazing collages, and I had never seen anybody take that that's all he did. I mean, there was painting and other art involved in the collages, but it was all sampling stuff from different places. So I love reusing material too. And there was some other point that I had that came in my brain when you were talking, but I can't remember what it was.
It came in your brain? Gross.
It came in my brain. Hey, I don't know. There's worse places to come.
And where is that exactly?
Your hair. I mean, come on. Your brain is not great, but
it would be like that something
hair.
About Mary like thing. I recently got my hair cut.
Yeah.
And they cut it too short, and as they often do because I don't have my glasses on when I get my hair cut. And
right.
I'll just like, yeah, I guess that's good.
That looks good.
And I'm like, I put my glasses back. Fuck, they cut it too short.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I woke up yesterday morning and I had like a little bit of Super Saiyan Goku action going.
Nice. With
my hair just sticking straight up.
I need to get my hair cut a lot, but we'll see if that happens.
It's cool. I'm using less shampoo, so I'm saving money in the long run.
You are saving money in the long run. I mean,
it's economically.
Yeah,
I think I'm spending less money, but really I'm just buying more shampoo.
Wait, huh?
Well, like saving money by not getting haircuts.
Oh, okay. Right.
So think about it before you don't get a haircut.
Before you, yeah.
Audience.
Something about sampling, but I lost it. So, so you went and rummaged at your dad's house.
Yes.
You found some cool stuff.
What about you? What did you do this week?
We released the college literary magazine, which
nice.
I am the editor, faculty editor. It's not, when you and I were in college, I don't know about you, but for me, it was a club at my college.
Yeah, I believe that was the same because I wasn't a member of it, but I managed to get into the literary magazine.
Ooh, I gotta hear about that. But when it was a club, and so you had a sort of continuity between the semesters. You had an editor-in-chief. You had a sort of maybe like a co-editor or something who was an underclassman who was coming up and is going to replace the editor-in-chief when they become a senior. Mm-hmm. And you had a staff. You had the ability to sort of have a magazine that had some sense of itself between issues. At Leslie, where I teach, it's a class. So people only take the class once. And the only person who's providing any continuity is me, but I also try, because I am trying to teach them, to stay out of it as much as I can, which leads to issues that are kind of widely different from year to year. This issue, they were way more harsh about the stuff that they accepted, and I'm not just saying that because they rejected both things. I submitted anonymously. But
that's hilarious. Students are like, this blows.
one of them did say, and I think I've said this on the show before. One of them did say, nobody wants to read this. I'm like walking by and I noticed that they're talking about mine, and one student saying to the rest of them, yeah, nobody wants to read this, which was great. But yeah, we released that on Wednesday night, which was the
night of the shitstorm.
Well, no, that. Luckily, everyone else in the family except for Kaylee, knock on whatever, has gone through this gone through this sickness. I had not, and all I was thinking was wait till Thursday. Like, as I'm done with all of my commitments on campus, with one exception, by Wednesday night, and that's exactly what happened. Got to Wednesday, everything was fine. Stayed up late playing Civ 5, which I am still obsessing over because I can't win a damn cultural victory with Poland. But anyway, I digress. And got up Thursday morning and was very, 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 very sick.
Oh no!
But we released the magazine, so I got through releasing the magazine. My last couple classes, it was all good.
Did you have to keep on excusing yourself from class and be like, oh, excuse me, I just need to blah, blah, blah.
No, because
read your blah, blah, blah chapter.
None of that happened until Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So it held off until Thursday, hit me hard on Thursday, wasn't so bad on Friday, was mostly gone yesterday.
So it was just like a 24-hour bug, as they say.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, so you were going to say you got published in your literary magazine.
Yes, it was called The Onyx.
It
was
Onyx.
Framingham State, and actually... the editor-in-chief of this magazine of 2004, Onyx, was Brian, our friend,
Brian,
our frequent emailer. Brian was in fact the editor-in-chief, and I'll tell you the story behind the story.
Yeah,
that's like, ooh, that's very meta.
I'm interested that there's this. Normally the way literary magazines work is you write something, you submit it to the magazine, and you wait to hear whether they like it. There's more of a story than that.
So I did not submit my story.
Huh?
Okay, so what I was doing, I had a friend that worked. I think I might have told this story before, but whatever.
Yeah.
Continue to pretend that you haven't heard it before.
I haven't heard it,
and hopefully the audience will pretend as well. I had a friend that worked at the alcohol and wellness office. So basically, if you had alcohol problems or they gave out free condoms and shit like that. She worked there, and we were waiting for her to go and have dinner one evening, and so they had a typewriter in this office. So I was just typing really loudly on the typewriter to annoy everybody,
as you do,
as we're waiting for her to finish work. And instead of just typing, gobbledygook nonsense like you normally do when you're just like at a keyboard, you're just like typing, and it's like usually RS like that.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of doing that, I typed up a story which is riddled with spelling and grammatical and typographical errors because it was written on a typewriter and not like a word processor.
Uncle Steve, what's a typewriter?
It's one of those things that people used to type words on before there were computers.
Wait, there was a time where there weren't computers?
Yes.
Uncle Steve, no.
Stop calling me Uncle Steve. It's creepy. I think that might be the show title.
All right, go on.
So yeah, I finished typing it, and it was just this story, which I titled "Interesting Story." Flip to it on the thing here.
Interesting story.
I typed it as the Marvelous Man Steve, but I spelled marvelous wrong, so it just looks like by the Man Steve.
All right.
And so I wrote this and I gave it to my buddy Jason.
Yeah.
Who I also believe listens to the show, but I'm not sure. If he doesn't, then you gotta start listening to this shit, Jay. And yeah, so I gave it to him, and he was like, "This is hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm going to submit it to the literary magazine." And it was just like, okay,
all right.
So he did, and I think knowing Brian was on the editorial staff, or the head of the editorial staff, I knew I had a little bit of an in.
Yeah.
But apparently only one person was a dissenter as far as the of the story getting in, because everybody else thought it was funny, and I guess the one person didn't, quote unquote, get it.
Right.
And so whatever, and they made it in, and I'm like, and so what I said was, if it's going to be in the magazine, it has to go in as is. It can't be transcribed, because then you lose the nonsense that it is.
Yeah, you lose all the point.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's in there as a scan, as opposed to.
There was only one dissenter when it came to discussing one of my pieces that was submitted anonymously. She wanted the piece in. Everyone else didn't. So yeah.
So. It's just like I'll just read the first paragraph.
Yeah, I was gonna say you
but I have to explain why, like everything that's wrong.
Okay.
And it starts off, there once spelled with a W at the beginning, was a man with 2 muffins, and I spelled muffins wrong initially, but I typed over it, and it initially was miffins, but I typed a U over the I, and then one of the muffins, which I again spelled wrong, and then I didn't put a space in between muffins and was, made out of plastic, and the other was made out of bran. I don't have any commas here, so it's really like most muff. And then I went on to the next line, but I didn't put a dash. It says muff, and then ins are nowadays. The interesting part of this story, which I spelled wrong, I said das story, but then typed over it with this, is that the man with muffins. Not with the muffins. With the man with muffins was killed by a man without muffins.
Conflict.
But I did spell by wrong. I think I don't
We've
know.
got conflict and we've got characters. This is not an arty story.
Yes, there's definitely stuff going on in this
is a story for the people.
Yes, and so I'm like Mark Twain.
We thought we had a title, but now we have a different one.
I'm comparing myself to like obscenely awesome people. Like apparently I'm like Jesus,
you are,
and I'm
like...
also like Mark Twain. So yeah, if you want, I can let you borrow this and you can scan it.
I was gonna say I'll snap a photo and we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, and people can look
and see all the glory of
interesting story by me,
by the marvelous Steve,
marvelous
man, Steve.
Yes,
priceless.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. We're nearing the end.
Okay, well there's one thing.
Yeah, there's one other thing that we were going to talk about, and that was James Bond.
Yeah, so I watched I'm going to plug another podcast because it needs more.
It needs more attention.
No, it doesn't. But it's called How Did This Get Made? I think I talked about it before with the Hulk Hogan throwing the Mr. Nanny. Did I talk about that?
I don't know if you talked about that.
No. Oh, well, a couple. I watched or I listened to the show because it's basically like how did this bad movie get made?
Okay, maybe you did. Yeah.
And like there was a scene in Mr. Nanny, which was a Hulk Hogan or Terry Hulk Hogan vehicle.
Yeah.
Where there's like just this man throwing a dog into the water. Like,
yeah.
As Hulk Hogan is driving by on his motorcycle,
yeah.
being a consummate badass,
right?
But it's just like this weird, like you look it up on YouTube, find like Mr. Nanny, like man throwing the dog in the water, and it like when I first heard about it, when I first heard them talking about it, I was just like, what did this guy try and murder the dog? I thought it was like over a bridge or something,
right.
But it was just a guy throwing the dog into the water on the shoreline, and I think he might have just been playing with the dog.
Yeah,
but so go watch it on YouTube. There's like the clip of him, like, and there's this badass song in the background.
It's not bad to the bone, is it?
Yeah, but like they were talking about how it was like 2 movies or whatever, and like this one movie with him with the kids, which is like Home Alone, but a lot less funny
as most Hulk Hogan movies are.
Yeah, but no, but like
except No Holds Barred, which is unintentionally funny.
No, but I think they did that. They did that the week before on the show, and I haven't listened to that one, but maybe I'll go back and listen to the No Holds Barred. How did this get made? But yeah, I haven't listened to the show yet, but I saw that A View to a Kill, which has a great song opening theme by Duran Duran, and it's actually something you will hear on the radio, and then you're like, oh yeah, that was the theme to the James Bond movie.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been great necessarily. I fell asleep.
Watching it,
just like
yeah.
So I'm like, I would have just not watched this anymore and get some sleep because
before I mention my James Bond thing from this week, I have to say I heard about a similar podcast, or I keep hearing about a similar podcast called The Flophouse. Which every week they talk about a movie that, or every couple of weeks, they talk about a movie that flopped either critically or box office wise. And apparently it's gold, this show. And you don't need to have seen the movie in order to appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could listen to this.
Yeah, same as this.
So it was just like, I was just like, oh, it's there. I'll give it a watch before I listen.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
But it was just like, oh, it was bad. But it wasn't like necessarily a good bad. But Chris Walken is in it.
Huh, weird.
He's
weird.
the villain in the film.
The James Bond thing that I watched was this documentary about the whole creation of James Bond by Ian Fleming, and then how the film series evolved over the years. This documentary, it's on Netflix called.
Does it have anything? Is Albert Broccoli in it at any point?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Isn't he the person that wrote the Bond books?
Ian Fleming wrote the Bond. Ian Fleming is the guy who wrote the books.
So Broccoli is the one that like translated them into film.
Yeah, he's one of the two guys who helped create Eon Productions, which stands for Everything or Nothing, which is actually the name of the documentary. Everything or Nothing. Broccoli, and I forget the other guy's name. Just how can you forget the name Broccoli?
Yeah, you can't forget Albert Broccoli for the rest of your life.
And I think his daughter and adopted son are the ones who still run Eon Productions to this day. If I recall correctly.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Boom, doom,
But I watched this and I noticed he's in Guardians of the Galaxy. Benicio del Toro is in some random Bond movie of the last 10 or 15 years as one of the, if not the main villain, as one of the sort of very young Benicio del Toro.
And in this Bond film, the muscle is not a guy; it's Grace Jones.
Oh, that's right. So my dad watched. I don't know if he actually cared about the Bond movies, but there was a period at which my dad had and still to this day has two VCRs. He has many VCRs in the damn house. But his thing was he'd have two VCRs. He would go to the video store. He would get a copy of something, and he'd get an 8-hour tape, and he'd just basically like tape things. That was his, and he had a tape that was all the Bond movies, and then the second tape was the next set of Bond movies.
Yeah.
So I watched them a little bit as a kid. Like I was aware of them, but I wasn't all that interested.
Yeah.
And I keep hearing about them on this show, the talk show, which is by guys who really appear to like Bond. And I was like, oh, maybe I should check it out. So that I watched Everything or Nothing during one of those days when I was really sick. Very interesting documentary, but it still didn't make me want to go out and
watch all these
and watch them. I'm vaguely interested in watching the Daniel Craig ones because it's kind of a soft reboot.
Every time they get a new Bond, it's a soft reboot.
Yeah, I got the impression that everything up before Daniel Craig vaguely existed in the same, like very vaguely existed in the same universe, whereas the Daniel Craig ones are I don't know.
But they're all, I don't know, because it was originally Sean Connery. And I forget who there was somebody that did one movie. And
yes.
I forget.
Oh gosh, I just watched the documentary. They talked to him. He was not an actor. He basically BS'd his way in. Mm-hmm. So he did one, and then Connery came back and did one.
And then Roger Moore.
Then it was Roger Moore,
who I think did the most.
Maybe to this point, yeah.
Because he was in like from I think the six I think maybe the 60s until the
like
80s.
Late 60s or early 70s into View to a Kill was View to a Kill his last?
I thought maybe it was Moonraker. I don't know if that was before or after View to a Kill.
Moonraker was before, I think. View to a Kill I think was his last.
So
and then
he was just an old man then.
What the interesting thing is Sean Connery, and this is part of the Everything or Nothing documentary. Sean Connery came back and did a separate Bond movie with a different producer, which is not considered part of the canon, but there was a big controversy about who owned the rights to this one particular film. Mm-hmm. So Connery came back twice, once with Eon Productions and once with this other group. Anyway, so yeah, it was Connery, George Lazenby.
Okay, and then
Roger Moore. Timothy Dalton did two of them. It was really interesting to watch why in that documentary why they think Dalton only did two, because they got way violent.
Was that the one with Jaws in it, like the guy?
He did The Living Daylights and I forget what the other one was.
Live and Let Die.
No, I think Live and Let Die might have been Roger Moore.
Okay. Because there's a good chance that Roger
I think this proves your point, that there's a good chance that anyone that we name is going to be Roger Moore. There's a better chance it's going to be Roger Moore than it's going to be anybody else. And then after Dalton, it was
what's his butt?
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah,
who actually
not Bronson Pinchot, which I always confuse.
Pierce Brosnan was supposed to get it when they got Timothy Dalton, except that Pierce Brosnan was literally the day he was supposed to officially announce he was Bond. NBC picked up his show. Remington Steele.
Oh yeah.
So Remington Steele had been canceled, right? But there was an option out there, and basically on the last day that the option was available for someone to pick up, they picked it up, and so he was robbed of being Bond by 2 movies and however many years.
Yeah.
But one of the funny parts of the documentary is after the first one, which was for him was not Goldfinger.
It was Goldeneye.
Goldeneye,
which was huge.
Which huge, and that's the one where they made a video game that was huge.
Which it was the N64. Like that was because like there was a lot of first person shooters at the time.
Yeah.
But like the N64 didn't have much as far as that because it was Nintendo, and Nintendo's known for a lot more
for sweat instead of blood in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, like you know.
So GoldenEye was a big thing on the N64.
Yeah. And there was a good pinball machine too. Bringing it back to pinball, and I was fucking talk about.
He does not know the rest of the movies. They all blend together for him, and he says so in the he's like, which one was
I actually remember
The World Is Not Enough, and which one was Die Another Day?
I think Die Another Day was
is that Halle Berry?
I don't remember which one. No, Die Another Day was sort of different because it started off like him like in prison or something like that, so that was different. But the one with the girl from Starship Troopers, I forget.
Oh, I don't know.
But her name was like Christmas or something like that. And we expected the line in the movie. I don't know if it actually is in the movie, but we were like, I thought he was going to say, well, I guess Christmas came early.
That should be in the movie.
But it wasn't.
If it didn't.
But there was this guy I used to work with. That like when I was back at Hannaford's in my youth-ish, I don't know, I was in my 20s for a lot of it. But when I was younger than I am now, so let's call it youth.
Your youth.
And he was one of the lifers there. One of the guys that's just like, you know, I mean, but he doesn't work there anymore.
Right.
Because he was a terrible drunk. I remember I had to drive him home one day. Like the assistant store manager is like, because he showed up like hammered.
Yeah.
And so like they're like, well, we can't send him home and let him drive home.
Right,
so you're gonna drive him home. I'm like, okay, that'll make it so I don't have to do work for a bit.
Yeah.
Get to go off site. Do I get mileage for this? And he just gave me a look. But yeah, he was an interesting dude. Like aside from alcoholism aside, he I don't know, like.
How does it tie into James Bond?
Well, he used to love actually the Roger Moore James Bond because he was growing up in the 80s, like late 70s, early 80s. Yeah. So that was his wheelhouse as far as the Bond films that came out when he was a young person.
Right. Yeah.
And so he would call himself 007. And I remember there was this training video for safety, like using the compactor or something like that, or just a general safety video that I had to like watch or something. Or no. I think I watched it when I first started, and I completely forgot about it because I didn't know him then. But then, like, I was just kind of like, you know, fucking off one day and just go, like, I was in the back manager office just kind of fiddling through the tapes.
Yeah.
And of course, I popped that in, and you know, if people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I need to do a safety reboot or whatever. I have to watch this." But really, I was just watching this old video and just critiquing it or doing an MST3K of this like training video. And he was just in there and like and so he had his like pricing gun and he was like, "I'm Bond, James Bond," and he's like showing how to like lock out, tag out on like the cardboard crusher.
Oh my god! I'm sure that I must have worked with somebody at Purity who did the same, because it's like if you've got a pricing gun, like you either make a James Bond reference or what else do you do?
Just like drop it for free, or like a Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry, yeah.
I don't know. Did he fire 2,100 price stickers or 2,101? Well, do you feel lucky, punk? He does these impressions. You'd think it was the real people.
You would. So that's.
But yeah, I just like, you know, it was Mike. His name was Mike. He was an interesting character. I remember going over his Bond. I remember hanging out with him and having beers with him sometime. And we were watching Bond movies or something like that, and it was just. I'm glad I didn't drink too much in these circumstances because it was just kind of weird. Yeah. It was a weird vibe that I was getting, and I'm like, I don't know. And then a buddy of mine was like, he was a little strapped for cash, And he was like helping out doing yard work over there,
right?
And I was just hanging out while he was doing yard work, and I kind of sort of felt bad, but didn't.
Right.
And he just like he was out, and then he eventually came in and had beers with us, but it was sort of a weird vibe, and he was just like he had this cat. It was.
He's an older guy.
The older guy with a cat.
Gotcha.
Lived with his mom a little later.
Then you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He was not James.
Good old Mike.
So that's that. I don't know.
Are you going to talk about an epic shit to end the show?
An epic shit?
Just like I did a couple weeks ago to stop it? Or, well, we should do plugs and stuff.
We should do plugs, yes. We forget to do plugs. If you would like to contact us both, hot@clarkwoods.com. If you got something longer than 140 characters to say to us. But if you want to contact us on Twitter, I am at ECC1977.
And I am at Tuesday is loser, not Tuesday apostrophe S. It's Tuesday IS loser.
And not Tuesday is a loser.
No, not A. There's no A in there.
There's no A.
That's probably why I don't have any Twitter followers, because people are like, your fucking Twitter handle is like...
Yeah, well, I got to be honest. There were times at which early on I was like, wait, Tuesday is a loser, and nothing would come up. And I was like, no,
it's Tuesday is loser. It's Tuesday from the New Sweethearts. Listen to the New Sweethearts episodes to figure out where that came from.
There is no A in Steve.
Obviously. But there is an A in whole, you asshole.